There is a notorious teaching in the Catholic Church, enunciated most famously and most scandalously by Pope Boniface VIII in 1302 in a document called a papal bull, which was titled Unam Sanctam, and it said that he who refuses submission to the Roman pontiff cannot be saved.
That's right.
So that's going to get the blood pressure of Protestants up to a very high and dangerous level.
That's right.
What are we saying? That man in Rome, if you don't, never mind Jesus, if you don't accept that man, you're going to hell. That's outrageous. Well, here's what it means to say that you must submit yourself to the Roman pontiff. The Pope in Rome is this, that Jesus established the papacy. So if you don't submit to the papacy, you're contradicting God's will. You're going against Jesus' will. You're defying God himself. And if you defy God, you cannot be saved. Unless the establishment of the papacy was a frivolous matter by Jesus. But Jesus did nothing frivolously. Everything was with intent. Especially the establishment of the leadership of his church. Therefore, to deny the papacy is to deliberately challenge Christ, and no creature can challenge its creator. Thus we say that the one who does not submit to the Roman pontiff will not be saved. Everyone must submit to the Pope. But you might say, what if somebody doesn't know that the Pope is established by Christ? Well, that's a different matter. After all, if you don't know what the Pope is, somebody say you're a missionary, you go to the forest and you meet some kind of primitive person there, and you say you must submit to the Roman pontiff to be saved, and they'll say, where's Rome, and what's a pontiff, and what's to be saved? I don't know any of this, it's stupid, I'm going hunting. And he goes off, and then he dies, killed by a wild beast in the forest. Well, is he not therefore damned? Not necessarily. He won't be damned for rejecting the Roman pontiff because he didn't reject it, he didn't know what it was, what this office was. And anyway, God can enlighten his soul at any time from the moment he unknowingly rejects the Roman pontiff to the moment of his death. God can offer him the truth of the faith at any time before death, and thus he can be saved. So to say you must be subject to the Roman pontiff for salvation is not injustice by God, and it makes perfect sense. If you want to deny that Jesus established the papacy, then of course you're going to be a Protestant. But you've got to look at the historical information that supports the idea that Jesus established the papacy. Information contained in the New Testament and in documents outside of the New Testament. Any questions, any points on that? Go ahead.
Is there mechanisms in the church? Let's say we have a pope that clearly is teaching heresy. Is there mechanisms within the church to remove those heresies? Or are those heresies there infallible forever?
Okay.
Because this is, sorry to stop you.
Yeah.
This is something that the Protestants seem to suggest. The Pope said something 300 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's like they don't, I'm wondering if there is such a mechanism.
Okay. There is no such mechanism, because if a Pope speaks infallibly, now, if he speaks infallibly, it's guaranteed to be free from error. That's the first thing. If he's speaking in his what's called his ordinary magisterium, which contrasts with the first example, which is the extraordinary magisterium, then you haven't got the same protection of infallibility. But there could be, if he's speaking together with all the bishops of the world, that will be that could be said to be coming within the ambit of infallibility. But a pope has got a special protection by God against speaking error. Doesn't mean a pope can't speak error, but if it's not actually within the framework of infallibility, then there's no need to be surprised. So, for example, Pope Vigilius was kidnapped by the Emperor Justinian, who was in Byzantium, sent, I think, General Belisarius, but I'm not sure if it was him, but troops were sent from the Eastern Roman Empire to capture the Pope, who was not doing exactly what Justinian wanted. In captivity, Vigilius signed a document called the Three Chapters. It's to do with a obscure heresy at the time. It's ambiguous. But in fact, Vigilius was under duress. And so we would say that he didn't make a statement of his own free will. We can say that if a pope of his own free will makes an heretical statement, then of course he can be condemned by a future pope. But a cardinal or a bishop in his own lifetime can't condemn him, because no pope can be subject to the judgment of a lower order.
Yeah. So if the Pope says something not infallible and is heretical, when he dies, can those teachings be removed?
If it's not infallible, then it would be formally possible for the next pope to remove that, to strike it out. But until then, you'd have this man teaching error.
Yes, that would be a problem. Okay.
Some have said that this is impossible, an impossible situation for a pope to teach error. I don't know. Maybe it is. But if it were impossible, then that would mean the person who is apparently the pope is not really the pope at all, if he's actually teaching error, and if it's impossible for a pope to teach error. But this is really not my capacity to give an answer to that. You've got men like Cardinal Bellarmine and Cardinal Billot, who wrote about these sorts of things. But what we have to say is that whatever happens, we've got the Catholic faith. Catholic faith has existed and been codified for 1900 years before we were born. And so we know what the Catholic faith is. We know if somebody deviates from the Catholic faith because it's been written down in manual, theological manual after theological manual. So there's no real doubt.